Okay. So what we are doing here, why, what different thing, what it is like, incremental model, waterfall model, spiral model, what all are this? Okay. So these all are required to develop a software, right? So it is a process. Software development is a process, and that process is defined with these models. One can thought, if I ask you, you are running a IT company and different problem statements are coming to you, different projects are coming to you, and you need to start with the development. So basically you need a process, and to apply that process you need a model. So one may think of, I will go with the waterfall, I will go with the incremental, I will go with the agile. Agile may again, you will be having different options. One can choose the Scrum, one can choose the Kanban, right? It's all about you. So that is a process. Software development is a process, and whenever some process is there, we need to assess that process for its improvement. Again, think about the example, right? We this running engineering college is also process, right? ये process है, and ये process का input क्या है? Students are coming, then particular syllabus every college is having, students are learning that syllabus, gaining the knowledge, and they are just passing out. So to do this, right, students are coming and they are just passing out and working in the industry for the betterment of the society, right? So this is the process. Again, every time this process needs to be get assessed. Assessment is quite necessary. Am I right? Why assessment is necessary? We have to see how the particular college, what are their processes, and what are their weaknesses, where they need to, there is a scope for the improvement, so that their graduates will contribute more to the society and will work, like competence will be at the higher end, right? Are you getting? So are you agree with me that process needs to be get assessed for its quality, to have that improvement, like skew or the gap of improvement? Are you getting me? So सॉफ्टवेयर का भी वैसा ही है. सॉफ्टवेयर ऑल्सो, सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट इज ऑल्सो प्रोसेस. तो उसका ही कैसे सॉफ्टवेयर अपने, हाउ यू हैव डेवलप द सॉफ्टवेयर, सो that process we need to assess, and we need to think on improvising the process. So I must say that you have heard this word ISO, International Standard Organization, right? What it is? Where you have heard this word? ISO certified. You have seen now. This is ISO certified product. What does it mean? Have you heard this word? ISO certified. This is, someone is claiming that now our product is ISO certified. This particular organization is ISO certified. What does it indicate? It indicates whatever process, like medicine ke upar, a lot of time you have heard this word with the medicine, like pharmaceutical industry. This particular medicines are ISO certified, right? So what does it mean? Ki whenever, this is international standard, right? Whenever your process, this ISO will assess your process, right? And then he will give you the certification that your process is pass in our assessment, right? And if any improvements are there, there is scope for the improvement they will suggest you. So that is the thing of ISO, right? So again, to assess the software, we are having ISO 9001 2000 for assessing the software, right? So उसी तरीके से CMMI भी एक है. Okay, CMMI is there in your syllabus. I will not discuss CMMI in detail right now. I will provide you one video with the CMMI, but you need to just think for what purpose CMMI is again there. CMMI is there for assessing your process and suggesting the improvements. Okay, very similar to ISO. We will not discuss CMMI right now. but I will be providing a video to you. It is of just 15 minutes video. You need to go through with that video. Okay, so that is a process assessment and the improvement. Then next topic which we are supposed to discuss in today's lecture is all about component based development, right? Are you with me, all of you? Are you getting? Okay. So component based development. Now it's again playing very important role. Let's discuss this with the example. Like you need to imagine yourself as you're having the manufacturing unit of CPU. Okay, CPU का आपका you are creating the product is you're creating a manufacturing the CPU, right? So when you're doing this, again, you can take parallel example of car. You are the automobile industry, you're developing the car, right? So basically all the things you will not be doing by your own, right? Hard disks you will purchase from some another vendor. Few of the components might be yours, okay? जैसे cabinet है, कुछ भी बाकी का थोड़ा बहुत the components are your like few things are of your own, but most of the things you are just they are the component, right? जैसे if you think about the the unit of CPU manufacturing, so hard disks you will be having, you will purchase it from some vendors. Then you are having RAM, ROM, multiple HDD, right? Multiple things. And then your unit will assemble all the components together, wrap it, and then deliver it, right? So that is something called as component based development. Everything, hard disks again, you are not manufacturing from the scratch. You are just using it as a component. So what are the advantages with this component based development in anything? You can imagine the straightforward advantages with this component based development is it will increase your speed of development, right? You need not to start from the scratch for every component, every module. Need not to create a hard disk, then develop a hard disk, develop a ROM, develop a RAM, then HDD. No need to do that. No need to waste time in doing that, right? In case of automobile as well, you are not just doing all the things in that unit. Instead of that, you are just having that you are just buying that components, right? Engine hai, baki ka sab kuch hai, right? Tires and all that thing. That is the development will be more faster in component based development. And other thing is when you are deploying that to the customer, and after some days if the customer is finding some problems with particular component, then your component based development is done in such a way that the components are independent unit, right? You can imagine आपका अगर CPU में से if hard disk is not working, need not to replace the complete CPU. You are not just throwing away all the complete CPU. Instead of that, you are just taking out the hard disk, you are repairing it, and then you are then inserting back repaired wala hard disk you are putting in, and then your computer starts. So it will not hamper the other existing components, right? And again, the recovery is more faster and not to go through with the all the things, you know that the problem is with this component, right? So that are the some advantages with component based development. So again, coming back to the software industry is again very positive with this component based development. Again, I must say that it is very uh, difficult in case of softwares. Like you need to divide your complete things into different components, and components are something is independent units, right? Doing development in that way is really a great challenge, but now the software is industry is moving towards this component based development. Clear? Then formal methods model, the next is formal methods model. In formal methods model, you will not put any like your this is also called as a clean room software engineering. So why it is called as a clean room software engineering? um, you will not put lot of brains into doing this. You will be very clean with software engineering. The customer is coming to you, this is my problem statement. Like you can imagine, the customer is coming with lot of data and they wanted from you that you should give them the analytics of this data, which all customers are the old customer, the loyal customer, who all are the recent customer, and what are their the model of their purchasing, so that we can have our own recommendation system. So here you will not do, like you will not put lot of efforts and lot of brain. The process will be very clean room. You will define the things with the mathematics, right? This is the input. We will apply this processing, this mathematical functions on this data, and this will be the output which we can deliver to you. This is something is called as a clean room software engineering, right? So in formal, again it is called as a formal method. So it encompasses a set of activities that leads to formal mathematical specification of computer software. Formal methods enable use to specify, develop and verify computer based system by applying a rigorous mathematical notation. A variation on this approach called clean room software engineering, right? इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Clean room. So what are the advantages with this clean room methodology? Right, when formal methods are used during development, they provide a mechanism for eliminating many of the problems that are difficult to overcome using other software engineering paradigm. Ambiguity, incompleteness, and inconsistency can be discovered and corrected more easily, but through the application of mathematical analysis, right? So these are the something. This is called as a clean room. So यहाँ पे कुछ ambiguity नहीं रहेगा, incompleteness नहीं है, inconsistency नहीं रहेगा, and that it will promise the defect-free software because everything is very clean. क्या करना है? It's very clean. So this is something is called as a clean room method. Aspect-oriented software development is not there in your study. Now we will talk about the unified process. Okay. So again, if you think about कि ये जो बाकी के मॉडल्स है, you know the framework activity. सॉफ्टवेयर अगर डेवलप करना है तो सॉफ्टवेयर फ्रेमवर्क एक्टिविटी, जेनेरिक प्रोसेस फ्रेमवर्क एक्टिविटी, you know what are those plan, communication, planning, modeling, construction and deployment. These are the 5 process framework activity. And what are the models? ये 5 activity आप कौन से सीक्वेंस में, in what format you are applying these 5 activities that will comprise of your model. So you can have waterfall model, you can have iterative model, you can have incremental model, you can have spiral model. ये 5 एक्टिविटी को कौन से फॉर्म, किसके फॉर्म में अप्लाई किया जाता है, that will decide your model, right? And you can have the agile model as well, right? Scrum and Kanban, all that stuff, right? Again there is one thing, unified process, right? A unified process software development, again it's very similar to your other, like पूरा waterfall agile उससे related ही है, right? Again it is used for, one can think of कि I will go with the problem is in front of you, project is with you, and you need to decide I will start my development with which model. So one can think of I will go with the unified process. So in what situation and how one can think of going with unified process for the software development. So UP is also referred to as Unified Software Development Process, right? Again, what it is? So it is basically unified is taking base from the waterfall and applying it in the agile way. So it is a fusion of two things. Good things from waterfall and apply in agile way. That is nothing but unified process model. And it's give importance to the customer communication and streamline method for describing the customer views of the system. Of course, like we need to the focus should be on the customer because ultimately the customer is paying you, right? So the customer satisfaction should be should have the highest priority. Then it emphasizes the important role of software architecture. Again, architecture is something here, the word is coming. So let me clarify you the meaning of architecture, right? So let's discuss this architecture, why it is so important with the example. You can imagine your papa has built an house of say 2 floors, okay? But if they have not consult with any architecture, they have just builded it, right? So as they have not given any thought on the architecture, their foundation may not be very strong. If in future, like if you are now thinking about may now I will be having one more floor on this 2 floors, and then you will come to know architecture is something which is not properly done. That's why we cannot just go with the next floor, because their foundations and the pillars are not very much strong. So here the architecture is playing very important role, right? आपके पापा ने क्या करना चाहिए था? What your father should do, should did. So they have to think about the architecture. If in future, if I wanted to have 2 3 floors on this, so my foundation should be very strong, my pillars should be very strong. That way they need to design their house at the beginning, right? In future it will be help. Otherwise, what you have to do, you have to if you wanted to have the 4 floors, if architecture is not good, you need to start it from the scratch again. You need to पुराना घर आपको फिर से recreate करना पड़ेगा, starting with the foundation and then first floor, second floor, third floor and fourth floor. But if your architecture is very strong, then you need not to do it from the scratch. You can directly start from the third floor, right? So that way the architecture is very important in the software as well. Whenever you are doing anyways, you can, like, it's just a project for you, but you need to see कि बाद में जाके if any changes we need to do, looking at the, because we belongs to IT belongs to very agile sector, right? We are very disruptive in nature. आप ये 6 महीने का, like, this is the configuration of CPU, and in next six months you can see that the configuration is changed, the operating system is changed, right? uh, Various, like, so we are very basically this industry is very disruptive. So and you are dealing with, you as a software, you are dealing with this disruptive industry. So it is very necessary, looking at the future, your architecture should be very strong to adapt that changes in the future, right? If in future, now you have created some application with, today if you are doing some application with Android, in future if you wanted it to be on Flutter, right, or any other platform, your architecture should support that. There should not be no need to do it from the scratch. Only a few things you need to, there should be a scope to change the few things to make that changes very easily. There is, and this unified process is again giving more importance to customer communication and the architecture. And iska history kya hai? So this was founded in 1990s by James Rambo, Grady Booch and Ivor Jacobson, right? And you have heard about the object oriented programming language. So object oriented, if you think, right, nowadays software industries are doing in the projects in which language? Can you name it? Can you name it? Software industries are doing projects in which language? Okay, you know which languages, programming languages? Java, Python, C++, right? So these all language are having object oriented as their paradigm, right? सारे लैंग्वेज, so most of the language are object oriented. तो ये object oriented का डिजाइन करने के लिए there is a one language called as object oriented, sorry, UML, unified modeling language, जिसके थ्रू देखो हाँ in software development the flow is there, communication, planning, modeling में पूरा डिजाइन करोगे, so for that design as well the modeling language is there, that is unified modeling language, right? So now let's see how this unified process works. Basically you need to clear in your mind ये unified process क्या है. Basically ये unified process is very similar to your other process models, जैसे waterfall है, incremental है. For what purpose? To define the process of software development. Now let's see how it works. So unified process models are having 5 phases: inception, elaboration, conception, transition, production. Okay, you can see the diagrams. Look at the diagram very carefully. Communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment, and this is the release. And this phase is called as production phase. Okay. One more thing you can observe: inception. These are the phases. These are not actual phases. These are the 5 framework activities. ये phases है: inception, elaboration, construction, transition, production. So inception is having few little parts in the communication and few little parts from the planning. Elaboration is nothing but planning and modeling together. Construction is construction only. Deployment is something from construction and transition is something from construction and deployment. And the last is production. So what we will be looking at the diagram, what we will be doing in the inception phase, right? What we are doing. So in inception phase, right, customer, like here of course the communication will be there. We will try to understand the business requirement, kya karna hai, and accordingly in inception phase you will do the plan, right? So that we will be doing in the inception phase. So in inception phase of UP encompasses both customer communication and planning activity. By collaborating with stakeholder, business requirements for the softwares are identified. A rough architecture for system is proposed. A plan for iterative increment nature of ensuring project is developed. Then elaboration phase. So what we are doing in elaboration phase encompasses the communication and modeling activity. Ready? यहाँ पे communication and modeling. Elaboration content planning and modeling, right? Not communication and modeling. Then elaboration redefines and expand the preliminary use cases that were developed as a part of inception phase and expand architectural representation to include 5 different views. So देखो, we will try to understand in simpler language. Inception में क्या करेंगे? You will say आपको software develop करके लेना. You are having problem statement. So you will have the meeting with all the stakeholder. You try to understand the problem, right? And आपको problem समझ में आया, accordingly you will start to do planning. आप एक rough plan बना दोगे in inception. Then comes elaboration. So what is expected in elaborations? You will start to work on detail, जैसे कि architecture design करोगे. Architecture is something diagrammatical representation of modeling. So मतलब how your system will work, you will try to explain with the diagrams, and that is called as the architecture sometimes. So that you will be doing in the elaboration phase. You will understand what is the problem, and you will try to define the requirements and the features and the functions, and that you will again display with the diagrammatical views, right? That is called as architecture. So यहाँ पे you will show the use case model, requirement model, design model, implementation model, and deployment model. So elaboration creates an executable architectural baseline that represent 5 cut executable system. ठीक है, यहाँ से बेसिकली आपको मॉडल मिलता है, मतलब यूजर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कैसे रहेगा आपका सॉफ्टवेयर, रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से कौन कौन सा फीचर्स रहेंगे, डिप्लॉय करते टाइम पे कैसा व्यू रहेगा, ऑल दैट स्टफ यू विल बी डूइंग इन द एलाबोरेशन फेज. देन कम्स कंस्ट्रक्शन फेज. So in construction phase, you will actually start with the development. पूरा design को आप code में convert कर दोगे, right? You will code it. जो भी आपके पास architectural model था, आप उसको develop करोगे. You will write a code for the same. And once it is developed, you will be you will be giving green signal to the transition phase. Now we are done with our construction phase. That is called as the source. We are ready with the source code. We are ready to deploy it, and then it's a time to have the transition phase. So what we are doing in the transition phase? So very similar. Like if I ask you कि आपको क्या करना है, you need to develop a game, right? कौन सा भी game you need to develop. So this is again, game is the software development for you. You can think of, I will develop this game with unified process. तो ये inception में आप you try to understand the thing कि game क्या है, उसका solution क्या रहेगा, planning करोगे, elaboration में पूरा डिजाइन क्रिएट करोगे, आर्किटेक्चर क्रिएट करोगे, कंस्ट्रक्शन में उसका कोड लिखोगे, एंड नाउ इट्स टाइम टू ट्रांसिट डिप्लॉय. बट ये फाइनली आप कम्युनिटी में पब्लिकली रिलीज नहीं कर सकते. यू कांट डू दैट. सो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, बीटा टेस्टिंग, राइट? वैक्सीनेशन का कैसे बीटा टेस्टिंग हुआ है? व्हेनेवर the government or scientists are declaring that we have cure, like we got the vaccination for this particular disease, so they cannot start to test it on the common people, right? They need to just prove that with the beta testing. So what is beta testing? They will call few sample people from the society, and they will, under observation, they will uh, give them the vaccination, and they will observe the same. They will ask the feedback for the same, and if any some problems they find out, depending on the feedback they get, they will try to improvise that, and then the product is ready to the deliver or ready to for the production. That way software industry also, in transition phase, deployment phase, you will be doing beta testing. You will ask few players, kids, to come in your laboratory and ask them to play in your environment, and you will ask them how was your experience, what are the things which are you wanted to suggest us, right? Where you find it difficult. So you will ask from them, you will ask them feedback. On that feedback you will work, and once that loop is close, you will your game is ready for the production. So आपको वो पूरा assemble करके you will then publicly announce it, right? So that is called as a beta testing. Then production phase is something where already we have discussed कि product build होके बाहर निकलता है. So that is all about the unified process modeling. Then what we have to discuss next is agile, right? Agile we need to discuss.